Hello everyone, welcome to another Flesh and Blood video. And this one, as I said last week, we're taking a look at Katsu the Wanderer with the brand new cards from the Ira Armory deck, mainly the Edge of Autumn support. Now you may be thinking, why would we want to do this? Obviously those cards are designed for Ira. She is the hero who has Edge of Autumn as her signature weapon. But here's the problem. Over time, we've gotten a lot of really good dagger support cards that are really, really good in Ira because they're free, they get bonus damage. She benefits better from Kadachi. She's really good with something like Dual Threat because she doesn't care about the combat chain like Katsu does. Katsu, of course, originally came out with Kadachis, but the problem with that is your deck's set up in a way to where you're not really swinging them all the time. Yes, you have that late game potential to keep your opponent out with two Kadachis until you draw a hand that can actually kill them. But it turns out that Edge of Autumn is just an insanely good card with the new synergy inside of a deck like Katsu. It gives you so many more cards with combo, so many more cheaper cards as well, better blues that we can be playing, that the fact you're losing one of your weapons isn't really too big of a downside since you don't care about having two weapons when you're actually doing your main plan on Katsu. There are two different versions that you can take this deck. I've opted to take it the way I prefer to play Katsu, which is still the Surging Strike combo deck that wants to use the lines as well as possible, land the big Lord of Winds late, try to land the Dishonors really early, still use the Surging Strike. But I think another way you can take the deck, and probably the better way, I would need to test it a bit more, is the Ancestral Harmony version of the deck. Back when Bonds was at a lot more copies, we used to play Ancestral Harmony a lot in Katsu, and the deck just played like 50 combo cards or something. Like, other than your core not combo cards, the whole deck was combo. You just played all the good combo lines, all the starters with combo, and you just tried to burst down your opponent. Eventually that became not good because they got rid of Bonds, but now that we have a bunch of new really good combo cards in Seek Vengeance, Vengeance Never Rests, even the Enact Vengeance, we can be in a pretty good spot playing that deck. But I prefer to play this tempo-y, more synergistic deck that Katsu is sort of known for, with a lot of the combo cards with him in mind. So with all of that, let's get started. Of course, Katsu, one of the original heroes, but if you don't know what he does, pretty much the first time an attack action you control hits each turn, so you have to trigger it, but you don't have to do the discard. You can discard as any zero cost card to be able to get any card with combo and play it this turn. The card you get with combo doesn't have to be zero cost. Most of them are, but you can use it to get things like the Enact Vengeance, like Vengeance Never Rests. These really good cards that are out thanks to the Ira Armory deck, or just get a piece that you need like a Whelming Gust Wave or a Bonds of Ancestry. The deck's built in a way to have a lot of zero cost cards. Of course, Katsu before played Harmonized Kadachi, which is a deck that synergizes zero cost cards, but of course Katsu does play cards that aren't zero cost, like the Gust Wave, the Bonds, the Mugenshi, even the Vengeance Never Rests. So you can't discard everything in your deck, but most of the things in your deck can be discarded. Say you have a Surging Strike, you can just easily discard the Be Like Water because you don't really need it for the turn. Or if you have like Gust Wave of the second wind that you're not going into, or if you have two Chain Enders and Fluster Fist is the worst of the two, you can just discard that instead. But pretty much it's just a toolbox for whatever you want in your deck. It's not absolutely free like a lot of these other toolbox heroes, but Katsu does get it done. It's also nice that you do get to put the card in your graveyard because Bonds of Ancestry can get that back. There's so many times where I've discarded Dishonor and then got Bonds and then used Bonds to find Dishonor. For the weapon, of course, we're playing the Edge of Autumn. This is the only weapon that we're playing as we are playing the Edge of Autumn synergistic cards, all these Vengeance cards pretty much all the time. We'll talk about them more when we get to the main deck. For our helmet, we of course are playing the Mask of Momentum, as this is the core ninja staple. For our chest piece, we're playing the Heart and Cross Strap because it makes one of our Surging Strikes free, which is oh so important. We're playing the new Okana Scar Wraps over the Breaking Scales. Breaking Scales are usually what you play in Katsu, but because we're using the Edge of Autumn and we're using a lot of the Vengeance synergy cards, we get to easily play the Okana Scar Wraps and get its value on any of our ninja attacks, not just on our combo cards. And we can treat it very similarly as that +1 once synergy if we can't get it back by hitting with a Vengeance attack. Obviously, we want to, but we can do that. And then finally, I have Breeze Rider boots just because they're one block and they offer a bit of extra damage. There are times where you land an early Mugenshi and instead of, playing the big Lord of Wind, you just go, okay, let's break the boots on the Mugenshi hit, get my 3 Lord of Winds, and then just throw 2-3 times, and you're happy about it. That's really what the Breeze Rider boots are for. Just make some turns a little extra consistent there, especially if you have things with combo that don't wind up well, if you can't swing with the Edge of Autumn for your Seek Vengeance, or you don't have the Surging Strike for your Gust Wave of the second wind. It can just help fix a lot of turns. Moving on to the main deck, we of course 54 card main deck. That's generally how I build my decks nowadays. We're going to do this a little differently. Normally I talk about one type of card and then another type of card, but I want to talk about the starters first because those are so important to Katsu. The main starter in the deck is Surging Strike. We are playing 3 red and 3 yellow. I wish we didn't have to play 3 yellow, but we do. I could have played 1 blue in the deck thanks to the fact we're not playing Kadachis anymore, but it only comes in for 3, and that is just not worth it. If we had another card like Be Like Water that could turn into Surging Strike, maybe not like Be Like Water exactly because it needs to hit and that's hard sometimes, but something that was just like named Surging Strike, even if it was like a red 0 for 1 that was free, I'd still play that over the yellow Surging Strike because the fact it costs 2 is really tough. That's why we are on the Heart and Cross Strap, so on a turn that we can't afford to pay for the Surging Strike, that we just have an insane go-off turn, we can just play it out for free. We, of course, are playing Be Like Water. Be Like Water is a head jab stat line with an on hit to be able to make its name head jab, Surging Strike, or Twin Twisters for 1 resource. Our chess piece doesn't discount that because this is cost to pay for an attack, not the cost to pay for an ability, not the cost to actually play the card. But thanks to Legacy of Ikaru, another pump we have another card that can help it get over to 4 value, which means 1 3-block won't just stop the Be Like Water, which is really nice. Another starter is technically Descendant Gust Wave, although we'd rather play this after Surging Strike pretty much every time. We are playing 4 copies as it is a starter, 3 red and 1 yellow. The 1 yellow is nice for matchups we bring in the Mask the Pouncing Lynx if we need to be able to find it. But really the 1 yellow is here just because it is technically a starter. It can start our turns, and it's a nice combo attack we can get off of Katsu or trigger Breeze Rider boots very safely as it has Go Again itself already, which means we don't have to start with one of our not Go Again combo attacks, hope it hits, and then when it doesn't, we get sad because our turn's over. The last starter in the deck, technically, Edge of Autumn, is a starter, which makes things like Seek Vengeance and Vengeance Never Rests starters, but the last real actual Go Again starter is 100 Winds. We're only playing 3 copies at red as we are enough blues now that we can just play good blues we'd want to play anyway. And of course we're playing 2 Winds of Eternity to go alongside that. So let's move into the blues because that's I think the second most important part about Katsu, as a lot of his cards do have good costs and you are generally paying at least 1 card a turn generally to swing with your weapon, especially in this deck where it's now your weapon is a starter for some of your cards. So obviously, the 2 Winds of Eternity, this card is just in the deck because it's a good hit off 100, or good card to follow 100 Winds. We can use it pretty easily with Katsu, and it's also just a blue block 3, so we don't mind playing it. We are playing, of course, 3 Retrace the Past, as this is just an insane new Katsu card. It lets its name become anything if it was played after a Gust Wave, which notably, Descendant Gust Wave is a Gust Wave that is a starter, so this can go into the Retrace the Past, which can go into literally any other combo card we want. Very nice with the Fluster Fist, very nice with the Gust Wave of the Second Wind, very nice with the 100 Winds, and of course, very nice with these new Vengeance cards, as they need Edge of Autumn to be the last attack this chain, not the weapon. If Retrace the Past becomes Edge of Autumn, as it can name any card, we get a lot of value there. So with that, the main blue that we're playing is Vengeance Never Rests. This is a new card. It's a 1 cost, 3 power, 3 block blue. It has combo. If Edge of Autumn was the last attack this combat chain, it gets go again, and an on hit to banish it, and you can play it again this turn. This is really important. This is a good reason why we have a good amount of blues at 20 in this deck, because this is a card that chains really nicely. If we swing the Edge of Autumn and then swing the Vengeance Never Rests, we can use our arm to pump it to 4 to get over that breakpoint. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have the D-React, but then we can swing, we get the sword back, and we can choose to swing with the sword again if we have another pitch, or just play the Vengeance Never Rests again to get more damage through, which is always really nice. Another synergistic card for Edge of Autumn we're playing is Legacy of Ikaru. This is another new card. It gets to pump any ninja attack by 1 and gives it an on hit of if Edge of Autumn was the last attack in the chain, draw a card. So it's not an on activation like Ancestral, or a non-resolution like Ancestral Empowerment, but it is a on hit that can replace itself, which is really nice, and it's another effect that can get over our hit effects. Also really nice to have alongside using the Scar Wrap, since that plus this is +2 lets you get over D-Reacts on a lot of your attacks. The last 2 blues in the deck, oh, actually there's a third blue in the deck. The last few blues in the deck are ones that we're just playing anyway. Whelming Gust Wave at blue, of course we're playing the Whelming Gust Wave red. We'll talk about those a little more when we talk about our reds. 3 Dishonor, as this is the big daddy of Katsu's back. It's an effect that lets us remove our opponent's hero ability if we have Surging Strike, Descendant Gust Wave, and Bonds of Ancestry on the combat chain, and this hits their hero, which hopefully we can do because we have so many effects that let us pump up the damage with the 6 in deck and the Scar Wraps. And then the last blue to discuss realistically is the Lord of Wind, as it is the original Katsu synergy card. It lets you recycle all of your important cards, so pretty much any late game matchup, if you get this off for 6, you're going to probably win that game. Moving on, let's talk about the rest of the main deck, our combo cards, what we're doing, and our other pump. We already talked about Whelming Gust Wave. This is the main card we're going to be getting off of our Katsu ability. Comes in after the Surging Strike, gets +1 go again in an on hit of a draw. We're playing the reds because it's the best one. We're playing the blues because it's a 3 block. Seek Vengeance is here at only the red version. It gets go again if it comes in after the Edge of Autumn. You could play the blue version of this over one of the other blues in the deck, but I really like all of these blues, so I'm not playing the blue version of Seek Vengeance. Gust Wave the Second Wind is a go again if it comes in after Surging Strike. It's a lot worse than Seek Vengeance, but you play it because it's another Gust Wave for your Gust Wave synergy cards, and it's still a 0 for 4. 2 Fluster Fist, because we can make our Retrace the Past into an Open the Center, which means we can land our on hit. If that didn't happen, we would easily just play another Second Wind and then play something else, but Fluster Fist, pretty powerful because of that, and it's just a 0 for 4. We played this before when we didn't have Gust Wave of the Second Wind, and when we couldn't make another card into an Open the Center. The last 2 cards in the main board are Bonds of Ancestry, as this is just the key card to Katsu at this point. The key card to most non-draconic ninjas, or the non-draconic ninjas, until, of course, Zen got it gone, and then Zen went gone, then they brought it back at red, and now Katsu is going to play it until they ban it again, because that's going to happen. And then finally, Ancestral Empowerment, as it's just free cards in our deck plus free power. It's a 3 block, we don't care. It costs 0, so we can discard it off Katsu. It's a really, really good card. Now let's move on to the inventory, starting with the equipment. We're playing 2 Arcane Barrier, Tide Flippers being the main one that we've been playing for a long time. It's the first innate piece of AB that Ninja had access to, and we're playing it because it takes up our shoe slot, and we don't really care about our shoe slot as much. The second is going to be the new Robe of Autumn's Fall. This is the brand new Arcane Barrier chess piece from the Ira Armory deck. Before, Ninja did play Norrøn Robe because the chess piece doesn't really matter all too much. If you draw a hand of 4 reds, you're probably dying to the Kano anyway. So you just want the AB on the chest to help prevent some extra damage. I like playing 2 AB in a lot of my decks. Some people play 1 in their Ninja decks, but I mean, Katsu just plays a good amount of blues and yellows that I think you should just be playing the 2. Of course, we can't play Arcane Lantern anymore, and we're Ninja, so our arm and our headpiece are pretty damn important, so we can't play AB there either. It does have an effect that lets us destroy it when we hit with an Edge of Autumn to gain a resource, but will we ever do that? Most likely not, unless we know we're winning and they can't kill us. We, of course, are playing Tunic because in games that go very late, Tunic is way better than the Heart and Cross Trap. And we're playing Mask of the Pouncing Lynx because it lets us, in our very, very fast games that are like literally 1 to 2 turns, get this off and blow up our opponent. It is a little weaker in Katsu compared to the other decks that can do that, like Syndra or Phi. So maybe in your really fast games, consider keeping the Mask of Momentum, especially in this version of Katsu, as it is required to get that consistent card advantage. But of course, in the other version of Katsu that's just trying to kill your opponent with Ancestral Harmony, you're only playing Pouncing Lynx because, well, you're playing Momentum in the sideboard because of matchups like Gravy, of course, but Pouncing Lynx is the main one in that deck because that deck just wants to blow the opponent up. So this deck doesn't do that as much, but you still play it in the sideboard because your really late game matchups, you want to be able to fetch cards like Tenacity off of your last hit because they're going to be blocking a lot. It can also be used to get consistency pieces. If they let one hit through, you can get Retrace the Past, you can get Dishonor, you can get Yellow Descendant. Gust Wave really puts the pressure on those decks because they never know when you're going to break it and then take like a massive turn that one extra guaranteed tutor is going to get you to. The rest of the inventory is just some cards you see a lot in Katsu already. We're playing 6 D-Reacts, 3 Flick Flack because pretty much all of our cards that are blocking our combo, 3 copies of Wax On because versus a lot of the aggro decks that play 0-cost cards, this covers pretty much the full thing. We're playing 2 Razor Reflex as it's an extra D-React that can help get things through. Really good when we bring in our third Mugenshi Release, as this card we don't need it at 3 unless we play against a very late game deck. 2 copies of Tenacity, as Tenacity is probably the main thing we're getting off of the Pouncing Lynx. I don't think our chains go wide enough for Salt the Wound, considering we're not playing the Harmonized Kirachis anymore, so Tenacity is a really good card for this deck. And then finally, 2 copies of Enlightened Strike, as this is a card that's very good in Katsu, but not good enough to main board anymore. It's just very versatile. It's a 0-cost card we can discard if need be. It gets us an arsenal if we want it. It has Go Again, so we can continue after, or it can just be a 2-card 7 really consistently. The last card in the deck is finally a CNC replacement for Katsu. Katsu has been playing CNC for a long time because, well, when you just had a long chain that with Go Again, you could just end it with the CNC and it'd be very powerful. Enact Vengeance is the same way. It's a 2-for-6 that on combo with Edge of Autumn or Card of Vengeance was the last attack in the chain. It gets a non-hit to destroy all cards in their arsenal. There are some ups, some downs. This is a ninja card and has combo, which means it gets pumped by things like Flick Flack, gets pumped by things like Legacy, Ancestral Empowerment, our new gloves, the Okana Scar Wraps. But also, it's a combo card, so it gets searched for by Katsu, which is really nice. We could have turns where we swing with one of our starters, because Edge of Autumn won't trigger the Katsu, but say 100 wins. They take it, we discard something to get the Enact, then we pitch a blue, swing an Edge into the Enact Vengeance for a pretty powerful turn. The downsides, it's not CNC. They can play D-Reacts on this card. We do have a lot of pumps, but pumping it to 7 does mean a 3-block plus a 4-block D-React still covers it. And they can still play a D-React from Arsenal on the Enact Vengeance, and that's kind of just the best thing they'll be doing. So it does have some downsides compared to Command and Conquer, but it's still a very good card, has so much synergy with Katsu. It's also the popper that we're playing for our Prism matchup, which is still abhorrent. That deck is so good versus so many different aggro decks that just can't deal with the angels, that are just too low to play enough poppers or can't deal with them in some other way. But that's okay, because that's just how Prism is. It's the same as Kano. Kano just blows up if they play against Prism. But that's enough talking about other decks. Katsu has needed support for a long time, and he doesn't really ever get any direct support. That's a lie. He gets a lot of direct support, but it's never really that good. We did get access to Retrace the Past, which was very powerful, but that didn't make him any better. He's still just the same tier he always was. With this new support, with the Edge of Autumn cards, hopefully Katsu can come back into the meta, because I really like Katsu. He is one of the most fun heroes to play inside of Flesh and Blood. I really like decks that test your thinking, and Katsu is definitely a deck that does that. We did see Ira just win. Was it Calling Singapore? I think it was the Calling, which means that even though these new cards maybe weren't played in that deck because it was Kodachi, I think maybe Legacy of Ikaru might have found its way in, because this card's just really good. And any ninja, it's a 0-cost blue block 3. But with all that, Katsu gets a lot of pretty nice stuff from the Ira Armory deck. It is an option you could go to upgrade the deck, changing over to Katsu instead of getting all the dagger cards, if you really like the Edge of Autumn cards. But with all that said, that is going to be the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.